right, welcome back everyone to another edition of Talk 122. I am your Superintendent Dr. Terrell Yarbrough, and with me, this will be our finance edition. So we're going to talk about district financing, and who better to have on to talk about that than our Assistant Superintendent, for Business and Operations, Mr. Josh Aurand. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're just going to jump right in it. You're no stranger to the podcast. So when we think about like our district finances, right, and you and I, we talk almost daily, about certain things. When you're talking to the public and what you would like them to know, what's our biggest challenges right now that are facing the district?
Sure, and we have a few of those. So if you look at the state and local on the revenue side, next year the state's looking at just over a $2 billion deficit. Okay. So we'll see what impact that has on education. And as many probably know right now, the federal government's currently shut down. Yeah. And a lot of the bills that are coming forward on the funding side are reductions for public education. So on kind of the local revenue side, looking out at what the interest rate are trending down, so that could be reduced interest for us that way. On the expenditure side, our main challenge is health insurance. In the last 4 years, we've seen health insurance go up about 38%. So that's a pretty big, and we're not unique to that. Yeah. I think a lot of organizations have that challenge, but health insurance funding and spending is a big challenge for us. On top of those things, just looking at all the projects that we have as a district to complete to keep our buildings running and efficient, and trying to find the funding to get all those projects completed over the next 5-10 years kind of thing. And
thank you for that. And expanding on that a little bit, because I know when you mentioned healthcare, and you've been on before and you talked about this, but can you talk a little bit about one of the biggest things that we did to kind of hopefully help out with healthcare at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. So last December, we opened an Onsite health clinic in our new addition on the east side of the building. Yeah. So we are in month 10 now of that clinic being open. So December 4th will be our 1 year of having the clinic opened.
Yeah, that's cool.
We've had about 2,500 appointments in the clinic, so that's been great as staff have been getting used to having that here at no cost to them. And
No, thank you. And so when we talk about, our finances and challenges and things like that, and so when we think of when resources are limited, how do we, as a district, and of course you and I talk, but, communicating that with the community, like how do we address those, like, challenges where, now we have to prioritize and things like that?
Yeah. Trying to reduce any potential impact on kids and programs and just really being as efficient with the dollars as we can be. And that kind of gets back to the projects and completing those and being as efficient as we can from an operations standpoint, but also maintaining the buildings.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned projects, we did quite a few projects, last year, right?
Yes.
Can you kind of go over a brief overview of some of those?
Sure. Yeah. We updated chillers at 3 locations. We did a parking lot update at the middle school and Olson Park. We updated lighting here at the high school in the auditorium. We updated flooring here at the high school. There's other projects. There was a lot of projects, almost 10 this year.
That's a lot. And so the reason why I wanted you to say that is that even with, obviously financial difficulties and things like that, we still have things that we have to get done, right? There's still things that are on the timeline. The lighting, I know our students really appreciated that because we had got some feedback about wanting the auditorium lighting to be better and things. And so we try to be responsive, to those needs, even though it's still looking at, deficits and things like that. And so, with that being said, when you think about something that you would want to share with the community about district financing, what would that be? Like what you really want the district to know, what community to know?
Sure. That we're working on it every day and trying to prioritize and be efficient, but also working through the challenges that we face now and potentially into the future too. And I think part of that is how we relay that information to them, whether that's presenting the budget and broadcasting that online, public hearings for the budget, reviewing our finances every month, and just talking about whether it's what those projects are, just making sure we have that information out there, posting on the website so that if anyone is interested in the finances, it's there, whether it's coming from me in the meetings or posted on the website.
Yeah, and I like that you said that, because I know transparency is important to you, and I would imagine like those are some of the ways in which you are communicating with the public, and you're being transparent about where we are financially and where they can go and they can see the information and things like that, because that's who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. So anything else you want to share that you think we didn't cover? Because I know you might get questions later. And
Sure.
after someone sees this, they might email you or call you and say, hey, I saw you on the podcast and you were talking about district financing and things like that.
Yeah, if
Anything
there's
else?
ever any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help address any questions that are
All right.
there. But I think that's
Well,
it.
that was perfect. Well, see, that was a quick episode of Talk 122. And really what I wanted, and I wanted to have Mr. Aurand on, was just to kind of, talk to you a little bit about, how our district finances are, a little bit about where we are, how he communicates and get that information out to the community so that you're aware too, and just what type of situation that we're in. But also for you to know that that's not going to keep us from obviously getting programming to our kids, supporting our staff in our buildings, and we got projects, still here that we haven't talked about yet. But that being said, thank you for listening again. I am Harlem. You are Harlem. We are Harlem. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Talk 122. I'm your Superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. We're continuing our financial discussion from the last episode. And with this discussion, we're going to talk about scholarships, and specifically at this time where a lot of our students, are thinking about next steps and thinking about going to college and looking, to how we're going to pay for college, right? And so with that being said, can you introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll go from there.
My name is Kiley Fry. I graduated from Harlem in 2023, and I was the recipient of the Brian Anderson Memorial Scholarships.
All right. Yeah, you can say the amount. That's awesome.
It was $5,000 a semester
Okay.
for 4 school years.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome, and again, congratulations on that. And so, can you tell the audience a little bit of? So, obviously, trying to go back to when you were in high school and you were thinking about, college and applying for scholarships. Can you explain that process a little bit? Like, how early did you start? All that.
Well, I definitely knew that I would need to apply for scholarships to attend college. So I definitely looked into the opportunities that Harlem had, which there are many. And in particular, Mr. Livingston was definitely an influence.
All
and,
right. Shout out to Mr. Livingston.
Yeah, definitely encouraged all of his students to apply for the Harlem Scholarship, which is how I found out about it.
Okay.
And so I jumped on it and filled it out, and they got back to me, which I was very grateful for.
Okay.
And it definitely made me feel a lot better about going into the college process, knowing that there were so many opportunities within the district to help.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And so now thinking about, just that process and applying for scholarships, what advice would you give, students, as far as when they should start, things to think about, who they should contact?
I would start looking into your options probably junior year.
Okay.
I started my senior year and I felt a little overwhelmed. But starting junior year, definitely senior year if you haven't already. But looking into all of your options and making sure that, especially Harlem Scholarship is a great place to reach out, but Community of Illinois also offers a lot of scholarships to local students. I received one from them as well.
Okay.
So I would definitely encourage to look out at all of the options around the area, because there are many, and there are a lot of organizations who are anxiously waiting to give away money. But taking the time to actually fill out the applications all the way it'll give you a head start, because a lot of people don't finish them. So if you take the time to fill out as many applications as you can, there is a very high chance that you'll get a scholarship.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're talking about that and you went through that process, because like I graduated from high school in '93, but I didn't get a lot of scholarships and things of that nature, and I wish I would have applied for a lot more scholarships, because obviously with student loans that can get expensive and things of that nature, and so scholarships definitely help, right?
I agree.
Okay, so let's have a little fun with you now, as far as where you are today, as far as in schooling and what you're doing, and and if you want to talk about even how you have used your scholarship money.
So I chose to complete most of my gen eds at Rock Valley, so
Okay.
that's where I got my associates.
All right.
And it really worked out with my scholarship because I've been able to go to school for free, essentially. I haven't had to pay anything out of pocket.
Awesome. Yes.
So I definitely recommend looking into Rock Valley College as well.
Okay.
They also have scholarships, by the way.
All right.
But I am a history major, and I'm double majoring in
Okay.
history and secondary education.
I'm doing that right now because that's what I did.
I really enjoy it so far. After finishing at Rock Valley,
Uh-huh.
I transferred to Rockford University, where I'm finishing my bachelor's.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah.
And you're doing something at Harlem too, right? You said that.
I'm doing my first set of observation hours for my education classes, and I got placed
Yep.
here at Harlem. So
So you're coming back. You're coming back home. That's good.
yes.
and hopefully, and I have no doubt that your experience, is going to be great, and you may, we hire, so I mean, you can always, come back home permanently. So don't keep us in mind with that, okay?
I definitely keep that in the back of my mind.
Awesome. So with that being said, is there anything, final word of advice or words of wisdom that you would want to give someone when you could think back to your senior self, like in college and things and future is going through your mind, and you want to, apply for things, like what advice would you give, someone like you as a senior in high school?
I think the most important part is just having the motivation to apply yourself to those things.
Okay.
If you want to go to school and you don't want to pay all the money, just definitely take the time to fill them out while you can at all the options.
Okay.
So.
All right. Anybody you want to give? I know you gave a shout out earlier. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to that may
Oh, my
watch this
goodness.
later that you want to say, hey?
In terms of supporting students here at Harlem, shout out to Ms. Mock.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yep.
yep.
Awesome person.
That's-
Yep. It's awesome. All right. Well, thank you for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to our financial episode here. So with us is someone that I feel doesn't need an introduction. She almost like she is Harlem, along with Mr. Dredge, right? For those that know Mr. Dredge. But if you could reintroduce yourself to the community, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, my name is Carol Johnson. My roots in Harlem go back to 1956 when I started elementary school here.
Okay.
I was a graduate of the class in 1968.
What elementary school?
I was at Windsor.
Windsor.
My
All
whole
right.
well,
Didn't know
actually
that.
in first and second grade, because of the overflow, they held those two classes at the high school.
Okay.
So I was at the old Harlem High School then. Started there, went to Windsor,
Yep.
Proceeded on. I graduated in 1968, came
Okay.
back to teach for 44 years,
Yeah.
and I have been a member of the Harlem Scholarship Foundation for 39 years now.
Awesome. And obviously, your history runs deep in Harlem, and you've done a lot, and we can have an episode on just talking about the things that you've done for Harlem. But to keep it into this episode, I'll try to stay centered here, is that, so when you talk about the scholarship, foundation, and you being, a part of that for so many years, and obviously helping a lot of students, obviously our previous guest as well. Can you explain a little bit about how that works and what you all do?
Well, we are an organization that, we have our own money, the Harlem Scholarship Foundation money, which we award to kids every year, but we're also an umbrella for many individual scholarships. people that have possibly, staff that have passed away. If people remember Jerry Fisher, he was, I mean, he was one of many. So we're an umbrella for a lot of other scholarships.
Yeah.
The one that Kiley got was given by Brian Anderson from Anderson Automotive. After he passed away, his family wanted to do something, and they gave for 6 years a very, very large scholarship. So the kids aren't just applying when they fill out our application. They're not just applying for Harlem Scholarship Foundation money. They're actually, there's about 25 other scholarships if
Okay.
they meet their criteria that they become eligible for.
No, and thank you for that. And Kiley kind of mentioned it a little bit too, as far as going through that process. So when you said, there's criteria and things like that, can you go a little bit deeper?
Okay, I'll use Jerry Fisher. He was our principal for many years. Hardly anybody knows he taught science when he started his career. So when they got ready to award a scholarship, it didn't have to be a teacher, but they wanted somebody that was going into the science field. If it was a teacher, great. So his criteria is you have to have a 3.0 coming out of your senior year in high school.
Okay.
You have to be in good standing in the high school, meaning attendance-wise, et cetera, and that you have to have an interest of going into the field of science. There's no limitation. You could be going to Rock Valley. You could be going to Northwestern. There's no limitation. We don't even look at that part of it. And they just kind of wanted an all-around student.
Awesome, absolutely, and that's great, and it's great to for any students currently that are watching this and trying to get some tips and things like that. That's helpful. And so, with that being said, you've seen a lot of applications come in, right? You've read a lot of them. What advice would you give kids when they're applying for scholarships and they're writing their essays and things like that? What advice would you give kids?
Well, first of all, I do want to get a little plug in here. We have a couple scholarships for kids going into the trade schools. Never had one apply.
Love
so you
it,
kids,
love it.
get out there and fill out those applications for us.
Absolutely, college and career. Right, yes,
The main thing is our deadline, our application, the new one is always online starting January 1st.
Okay.
And that is for graduating seniors or for kids that have gotten our scholarship in the past, they can reapply. This year, our due date is March 2nd.
Okay.
We're pretty firm on that. It's a very easy application. It takes about an hour to fill out. There is an essay question, but you have a choice of which one you want to fill out, and we're not looking for your life history, just a little bit about whatever the question is about you, basically. It's just an easy process, and what I'm finding, unfortunately, is a lot of kids don't want to take advantage of it. We gave away a very large chunk of money last year, and we only had 19 kids apply.
Okay.
Now, that's not a big percentage out
yeah.
of that graduating class of close to 400, 350, 400. So kids, when you get ready to do scholarship, look at the ones that you meet the criteria for.
Okay.
If you're not in music, don't apply for a band scholarship. You're not
Okay.
going to get it.
Okay.
Look for the ones you meet the criteria. Look at the due dates. Start off in January 1st. Take the first due date. Fill out that application. Get it in. Move on to the second due date, the third due date. And maybe spend a couple days on it, and you can knock out a number of them.
Okay.
And like Kiley said, there's money out there,
Yeah.
but you just have to make the effort to apply. And so I highly recommend kids and parents stay with it.
Perfect. And to hear you say that, as far as there's so much money out there, but not enough students applying for it, and that if anything, anyone watching this, I want to get that message out, like apply. Even, and I get the criteria piece as far as if you're not in music, you shouldn't apply for a music one. But I also think too, though, that if you are in line with those, just apply. It doesn't matter how many you apply for it. You may get them. I mean,
Community Foundation, she talked about that. That is a great one. I mean, they've got probably 300 scholarships. They're not all for Harlem kids, but a big chunk of them. The Harlem Scholarship Foundation, we have about, counting our money, of which we give multiple scholarships away out of that, we had 22 scholarships from other people that came under our umbrella last year, and they range from $1,000 to $5,000.
Okay. All right.
Just, get out there. It's not hard. It's not really hard. And just take a little time, make the effort. so many. Harlem's got probably more than any school I've come across,
Okay.
you know, when I've dealt with it. Just ones that are related to the school. You know, the Kiwanis, you know, the Nirali Patel. There's all these scholarships out there. Get out there and do it, and, you know, get going on it January 1st. You could be done by January 15th. Have the rest of the time to do what you like.
That is awesome. And so thank you for obviously, you know, all the things that you've done for Harlem, you know, but obviously specifically with the Scholarship Foundation and you and your team and all the years that you've invested in helping Harlem kids, you know, get to college. You know, so,
Honestly,
yeah.
if I had to pick the most proud thing I am of my 44 years at Harlem,
Yeah.
it would be this.
Awesome.
Because we have given away a large chunk of money, and I've been able to follow kids, and I think it does something for them to make them move on to the next step, and that's what high school is all about. We're to prepare those kids to move on to the next step, and I feel scholarships are a big part of it for those kids. And don't forget, trades. We have scholarships for trades kids, and I mean, that can be any trade, and kids just don't think about it, you know?
Yeah, and that's what's great, especially with, you know, obviously our focus now on college and careers and the new CT edition.
Well, yeah,
that
and
we
you've
have,
got that new edition.
You know, and so to hear that, you know, I hope, you know, kids that are seeing this, you know, at some point it's like, you know what, I can get a scholarship and do that as well. And so
Well,
that's
there's
great.
something for everybody. I mean, you don't have to be in the top 10% of the class to get money from us. There's options. There's so many options for school. I mean, like Kiley's talking about her journey going to Rock Valley. I have to put a plug in for this young man. I don't know if you remember Eric Steiner.
Yes.
He graduated in 2019. I had an opportunity to talk to him this summer because we were tracking kids to see where they ended up.
Yeah.
And he went to Rock Valley, and then Rock Valley offered that program for engineering through
Okay.
Rock Valley. He stayed and did that. Meanwhile, having a job as a part-time, he ran a drone for realtors. So he always had a
okay.
job. And now he's graduated. He's working as an engineer. And when the month he got out of college,
Yeah.
he bought a house because he had no student debt. And I mean, he
yes.
said that was one of the things he was the most proud of. So
Yeah.
there is ways to do this, kids. You just got to get a little focus, move on.
Nope. Love it. Well, thank you for being on today. And before I let you go, because when you were on before, we had the basketball and all that. And you
I made it, too.
And you made it. So I'll give you this, and let's see where you go with it. So who's your favorite person in Harlem? All the years you've been in Harlem, who's the first person? When I said that, who came to your mind?
Well, I have a very best friend that we did a lot of things together. He retired way, way before I did.
Okay.
But we ran student council. We ran a Letterman's Club. We started a lot of things. And that was Randy Carlson.
Okay, Randy Carlson.
Yep.
All right. Well, I thought you were going to say Joe Hazen, but no. that's for another.
He's one of them. He's
That's,
up
that's
there.
for a
There's
whole
so many,
nother
you know.
conversation. Well,
I'm blessed to be the people I met at Harlem and shared my life with. So blessed.
and we're blessed to have had you,
thank
at
you.
Harlem as well. And so, with that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in to this edition of Talk 122. You know, like Ms. Johnson said, the money is out there. Apply. Not just college. You know, it's also the trades as well. And I thank both of our guests for being on today. So, I am Harlem. You are Harlem. We are Harlem. Thank you, everyone.